Alright, so we're looking at the Year 6 number operations exam and how you can get 100% on these questions. Alright, so number 1. What is the sum of 7,062 and 11,099? Well, the sum means addition. So we're going to set up an addition sum. And remember, place value is important. So that's 11,099. And you always want to do a line underneath to differentiate between the question and where you're answering. Alright, 2 plus 9 is 11, carry the 1. 9 plus 6 is 15, plus the 1 is 16. 0, 0, 1, 7, 1 is 8, and 1. Now sometimes these ones can get mixed up in with your answer, so it's always best to write out the answer as well. 18,161. Number 2, what's the difference? Now difference means subtract, so once again, 784 minus 384. Now this one's fairly straightforward because we can go 0, 0, 4, so our answer is 400. Number 3, what's the product? Now the product means multiply. Now there's a trick here, because it's 300, I'm actually going to do 71 times by 3. 1 times 3 is 3, 7 times 3 is 21 to get 213, and because timesing it by an extra 100, I'm adding on the extra 100, so my answer must be 21,300. I'll put the 2 zeros back again. Number 4. What is 5,684 divided by 7? So how many times does 7 go into 5,684? Right, 7 can't go into 5, so we're looking at two numbers. 7 times 8 is 56, no remainder. 7 can go into 8 once, with 1 remainder, and 7 can go into 14 twice. Let's not hide our answer. So it goes in 812 times. Number 5. Write out the first 5 multiples of 6. Well, the first multiple of 6, 1 times 6 is 6. So then it's going to be 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, first 5 multiples of 6. Write out all the factors of 24. Now, a few ways you can do this. I actually prefer to do it as a table like this so I don't miss anything. So 1, all the always go into it, 1 times 24. 2, that'd be 2 times 12. 3, that'd be 3 times 8. 4, that'd be 4 times 6. 5 doesn't, and then I'll be back into 6, and then I'm going up this way. So there are 8 factors total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's a good way that you don't miss any. What is the product of 712 and 18? Product means multiply, so we have to do long multiplication. No shortcuts here. 2 times 8 is 16. 1 times 8 is 8, plus the 1 is 9. 7 times 8 is 56. Now we're multiplying by tens, so we add in our 0. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. 7 times 1 is 7. And we add up going down, so I put the line in. 6. 9 plus 2 is 11. 6, 7, 8, and 5 plus 7 is 12. So our answer is 12,816. So really careful with place value, making sure they're all in nice, neat columns. Number 8. Converts. Let's sort the focus out. Right, convert 13 over 4 into a mixed number. So how many times does 4 go into 13? It's 3. 3 times 4 is 12, so there's 1 left over. 3 1/4. Write out the first 9 square numbers. So 1 times 1 is your first square number. Then it's 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, so 16, 25, 6 times 6 is 36, 7 times 7 is 49, 8 times 8 is 64, and 9 times 9 is 81. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What is the lowest common multiple? Now to do this, 2 really important to the question. First, we're going to write out the multiples of 6 and the multiples of 15. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. Now the multiples of 15, 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90. Now we're going to look for the lowest one that's in both lists. So the lowest one in both lists is 30. Alright, so the answer is 30. Number 11, what's the highest common factor? So what we want to do is let's write out the factors of 24. We did that. And now let's write out the factors of 40. Right, so that's 1 and 40, 2 and 20. 3 doesn't go into it, 4 and 10, 5 does, so that's 5 and 8, 6 doesn't, 7 doesn't, and then we're back on 8. Right, highest common. It's the biggest number in both lists. So no 40, no 24, no 10, 8. So our answer is 8 is the highest common factor. Number 12, what is 2/3 plus 1/4? Whenever you're doing a worded problem, it's best to write it out as a directed number sentence. All right, we can't add fractions if the denominators are the same, so we're timesing this one by 4/4, and we're timesing this one by 3/3. 4 here because that's a 4, this one by timesing by 3 because that's a 3. So we end up with 8/12 plus 3/12, which is 11/12. 13 is the same question, but we're subtracting. Now, really what we're doing is we're looking for the lowest common multiple of both of these numbers. In this case, it would be 20. So to get that to 20, we're timesing this by 2/2 to get 6/20. To get this out of 20, we're timesing it by 5/5 to get 5/20. Your answer is 1 out of 20. Right, 14. What is 25% of 63.2? Few ways you could do this one. Now, 25% is the same as a quarter, so we could just divide this by 4. You could also find 10%, which would be 6.32, then half that, then double it and add it up to find the 25%. I'm going to pick the shortest way. I'm going to divide it by 4. 4 goes into 6 once, carry the 2. 4 goes into 23 5 times, carry the 3, and 4 times 8 is 32, so the answer is 15.8. You could half it and half it again as well, but there's our 25%. 15. Cans of beans cost $1.25. How much would 12 cans cost? So what it's actually asking you to do is $1.25 times 12. A few ways of doing this. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to times this by 4. I'm going to do a shortcut. 4 times that is $4, and 4 times that is $1. So 4 times $1.25 equals $5. So that's how much 4 cans would cost. 4 cans cost $5. Now 12 is 3 times as more than that. So therefore 12 times $1.25 must be 3 times more than that, $15. Quite a quick way of doing it. If you weren't following that, you could even do your 125 times 12. 5 times 2 is 10, 2 times 2 is 4, 1 times 2 is 2. Now your tens, 5 times 1 is 5, 2 times 1 is 2, 1 times 1 is 1. You add it up and you get 0. Have I made a mistake there? 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4, carry the 1 is 5. There we go. So I double checked my answer to make sure I didn't make a mistake. Add in the 2 decimal places and you also get $15. So either way is acceptable. Right, some of the worded problems. 16. A dog scoop can pick up 260 grams of food. How many full scoops can you get from a 20 kilo bucket? So really, we're trying to see how many of these can go into this or that divided by that. A few different ways you could go about it. It's quite a difficult one, really. First of all, let's convert this into grams. So you get 1 kilogram is 1,000. So really, it's 20,000 over 260, which is the same as 20,000 divided by 260. If you worked it through as fractions, well, they simplify, and then if you halved that, you get, well, half of 2,000 is 1,000 over 13, and you could see how many 13s go into 1,000. Requires you to know your 13 times table. Well, 13 can't go into 10, so you need to know how many 13s go into 100. It can be a bit messy. I would just take the shortcut here and write my 13 times table. So just by adding on 13 either time, 78, that's 80, so that's going to be 91. So it goes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times with 9 remainder, and it goes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times there. So it would be 76, but that's quite a hard way of doing it. Alternatively, so you can see how many times does 260 go into 2,000, or we looked in here, how many times does 13 go into 1,000? what you could do is even keep going up in your times tables that way. A few different ways of doing this one. You could work out how much 5 lots of 260 add up to. So that's going to be 300 plus 1,000, so you get 1,300. And then multiply that by 5 each time to work out until you get to your 20,000. That's also not a bad way. You'd still get 76. 17. Dave the kangaroo, of course he's called Dave, travelled across the school oval. The school oval was 950 metres long. He jumped 40% of the way in the first 5 minutes, then 120 metres in the next 5 minutes. What distance does he have left? Right, so we need to find 40%. 10% of 950 must be 95 metres. So 40% must be 4 times bigger than that. So 95 times by 4. 9 times 4 is 36, plus the 2 is 38. So it must be 380 metres. He then jumped to 120, so 380 plus your 120, 34 is 500 metres. What distance does he have left? Well, if the oval's 950 metres long, he's jumped to 500, he's got 450 metres left to go. Good on ya, Dave. Number 18. Alright, 2 schools are competing in a sport competition. School A has 2,160 students, School B has 3,000 students. Each school will put forward a group to compete against each other. Fair enough. The groups must have the same amount of students, and the group size must be the largest possible. Okay, now really this is asking for the highest common factor. Now you could work out the factors of each of these numbers, but they're quite large numbers. So there's a few different ways that you could be doing this. One way of doing it is to sort of separate this into what numbers you would get to multiply to get 2,160. You could half that to get 108 times 2. That's 54 times 2. 54 is 9 times 6. That's 3 times 3. 2 times 3, and that's 2 times 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 2s, 1, 2, 3 3s, and a 5. Oops, 3 3s and a 5. And 3,000, well that could be 300 times 10, which is 2 times 5. That's 30 times 10, which is also 2 times 5. That's 6 times 5, which is 2 times 3. So you've got 2, 2, 2, 1, 3, and 5, 5, 5. And then you can sort of match up which is the same for which. So there's 3 2s, 1 3, and 1 5. And then you can multiply that out, which is 8 times 3 times 5. 8 times 5 is 40. 40 times 3 is 120. Quite a difficult method to do that one. So I think probably the best trial and error method that you guys would do is actually work out what your factors are. So 2, so you half that to get 1,080. Does 3 go into this? 6, it does indeed. So then you're going to have to work out how many times 3 goes into this, and then you can start manipulating your factor trees. So what times what? So 3, let's do a quick maths up here. 2160, 7, 2, oh, that's not too bad, 720. 4 goes into it, and you can half that one to get 540. 5 goes into it, and you get 432, and you can keep going down for both lists until you find one. Quite a long question, that one, so these A grade questions usually best to leave towards the end. Either way, the answer was 120, and that's how you get 100% on every single question.